I am back pain. I need coffee. I am Bat Dad. Welcome, everyone, to the Nerd Bites Weekly Halloween Spectacular. Speaking of coffee,
you broke me, man.
I am one of your co-hosts, DC, alongside my other co-host, Ketzerin.
Hello, everyone.
And then we have a special guest on today's show, Chris Cohron from the Friends with Benefits podcast, and also just a friend of mine and Ketzerin's as well.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, if you listen to the podcast, I'm also Chris on there because for some reason, instead of going by our last names, we decided to go by Chris and also Chris because we're idiots. So...
Yeah, so we've got some stuff we're going to talk about today. Obviously, there's some cool stuff that happened in the news that we'll talk about up front, but then the rest of the show is going to be all Halloween related, horror movie related, Halloween related. We've got the king of horror movies himself here to talk. So I'm going to get out of this mask because it's super uncomfortable. I just want to do that for the intro.
So it looks really uncomfortable.
It's super uncomfortable.
Imagine that you're sweating. Imagine Batman, man. He's been doing that all day, all night.
Oh, God. Not with glasses over it and headphones in his head.
Right now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Can I curse?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Shit. Dick. Tits.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not keeping it on.
John!
I'm not doing that, John. I'm sorry. Nice friend of the show, John, joining us here again in the Twitch chat. So we have a podcast now. Before I take this off, we have a podcast now as well. This is now a podcast, so I'm going to try to, talk to our listeners as well, for our podcast, because I know some people can't join us at this late hour on Friday nights. We're all adults now, so it kind of sucks. So I get it. But yeah, Cohron, go ahead and talk about your podcast really quick and tell a little bit about yourself, and I'm going to take this shit off.
So the podcast came to be a few years ago. I started off doing a podcast called Talk Nerdy to Me. There were 4 of us. We had a couple different visions about what we wanted for the show, and my now podcast partner, I'm going to call him Flanagan because we always just call each other by our last names. My podcast partner, Flanagan, and I decided we wanted to kind of move away from the list of the week or something like that and just talk more like free-flow conversation, kind of like I think you guys do. Like, you guys have topics, but at the same time you want it to flow more like a conversation than being like, this just in, and then talking about that for 10 minutes and then like segueing by literally being like, speaking of. So yeah, we just wanted, we had a different thing we wanted to do, so we've kind of spun off onto our own thing. If you've seen our amazing artwork for our show, that was done by my friend. He doesn't like his real name, so you can find my friend who did that artwork for our podcast. His name's Sorryhat, SORRYHAT. That's his name on Instagram and Twitter. You should give him a follow. I've known him for about 25 years because I'm old as shit. So,
Wow.
Catherine, how old were you like 25 years ago? Like 3?
Actually, I was 40.
You were 40?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were 65.
Yeah, it's like a Benjamin Button type thing that's going on.
Fair enough.
I will post in the chat the Instagram for Sorry Hat. So yeah,
Nice.
I actually started listening to your podcast recently because I didn't know you're on Spotify. So definitely check out Friends with Benefits on Spotify. They do some awesome stuff. I actually discovered this app through you guys called, let me pull it up here. I know you're going to know it, but I want to say it anyway. Letterboxd.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Letterboxd. And it's amazing. It's basically like Instagram / social media for movie critics and movie fiends, I guess you would call us.
Yeah, the best comparison I can think of is, are you guys familiar with Goodreads?
Yeah.
It's been around forever. Yeah, it's Goodreads for movies.
Okay.
And you can rate stuff, comment, follow people just like that. my most liked review is the Nine Kittens of Christmas, the Hallmark movie.
What?
Well, we get some research, Dustin.
So
Not doing it right now.
So the backstory is, I got home, or my parents live in Henderson, Kentucky. I live in Lexington, and I was driving home, and I didn't think anyone was going to be home. I thought my parents were both working. I got off work a couple hours early. I walk in expecting house to myself, just time to relax, and my mom's just like sitting in their sunroom getting ready to like watch this movie, and it had Brandon Routh, and it was called The 9 Lives of Christmas. Sat there, watched it with my mom. Good son, whatever. Last year, she texted me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, did you know there's a sequel to this Hallmark movie coming out?" Sure, Mom. I'll watch it with you. So, was going to review it. And in the realm of Hallmark movies, it wasn't bad, but I was still only going to 2-star it. And I told her that. And she goes, No, give it a 5 for your mama. So my entire review says, "Give it a 5 for your mama, - my mom." Then under that, I wrote, "Sometimes you have to be a good son." My average like movie review on Letterboxd gets about 2 to 4 likes. That one has 37.
That's hilarious.
Now, do you hashtag your stuff and all that as well, or do you just keep it default? Because that seems a little tedious to me.
Just default.
Okay.
And like, I'm also not writing. Like, there are people that are writing fucking novels about movie reviews. You're getting, unless it's something like Tenet that I absolutely hated. I wrote like 4 paragraphs about that.
Still haven't seen that yet.
Don't.
Okay. Dakota says, "Hey Chris, Bree 3."
Oh. You're getting love letters.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we get into the news so we can focus on Halloween the rest of the show? Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right.
Cool bean.
So we'll start off. We'll start off with Dragon Age news. So recently came out that Dragon Age is, what's it called? Dragon Age what? Sorry, I forgot.
Dragon Age Dreadwolf.
Dreadwolf.
And it's finishing its alpha stage, and so basically it is playable from beginning to end.
Yep.
But now they're gonna start cleaning it up. But it's at a huge landmark for Dragon Age. So
yeah,
I'm excited, you guys.
See if I can.
I love Dragon Age.
Tag on it. There's audio coming through for people, but there's no video. Hold on. I'm trying to fix that. Here we go. No, I mean for the Dragon Age thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. So I'm gonna put up a trailer here, so we
Cool.
can talk about it a little bit too.
Never played a Dragon Age game.
I have also never played Dragon Age, but I know a lot of RPG fans love this game. So
Yeah.
No ancient prophecy.
it looks neat.
The kind of person they'll never see coming.
This is great for our podcast listeners. We're just here watching the trailer and
Oh, yeah.
sharing the audio.
Right.
Yeah.
Dragons.
It looks cool.
It does. I mean, you can make cinematics look,
Yeah.
any way you want, but it does look neat.
Yeah, you guys should absolutely.
This is your
I can't wait.
story.
Oh, my heart.
So,
I'm watching it. My phone going.
what was the Dragon Age that everyone swears by that's really good, apparently? Was it Origins
Inquisition
or
or
Inquisition?
just 2?
Well, okay, so Dragon Age, the original Dragon Age, the first one, yes, the best one. However, in my opinion, Inquisition was, a contender.
Okay.
Inquisition, it's cleaner. I really liked playing it. I have, I think, 2 runs on it. I've only done Dragon Age once and a half, and then the other one's just once. But
Well, shout out to Philip. I think he recommended Inquisition.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And shout out to Dakota because he just did the whole long haul of it too. So Dakota, if you have any thoughts about that, let us know. And I call dibs on reading those.
Okay, so
Now, there's a Dakota and a Takota in the chat?
Dakota.
just Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was
Was
saying
it- oh,
Dakota.
Dakota.
Ta.
We could
My
just,
favorite bartender,
could just call him Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him. No, that I feel like that's going to be a personal conversation.
Oh, okay. So,
Anyway,
so yeah, Dragon Age looks neat.
yeah, I'm really excited. I think every Dragon Age fan is absolutely like waiting for this to drop.
It's been a while.
So-
I mean, when was the when did the last one come out? Like 2014,
16?
15?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I don't know the year.
Somebody vet that in the chat. Let's get the chat going. It's a little stagnant after the Bree 3. Because all
Yeah.
things begin and end with Bree 3. Am I
Somebody
right?
fact check, please.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can move on, I think. So before we get to more DC news, because apparently DC just loves being in the news lately. Not me, but the comic book company DC. Let's talk about the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer. Did everybody watch that?
I did.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I
gonna
just
pull it
feel
up.
weird about Ant-Man. I love Paul Rudd.
How could you not love Paul Rudd?
And I like seeing Ant-Man in, like, the big team-up movies. But every Ant-Man movie to me so far has just been like, did I really need to spend 2 hours on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the first one the most out of the two.
Yeah.
It's a simple story. It was just funny. The two, they tried to get a little deeper with it, with Ghost and all that. But I think this is going to tie in more to the continuity stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think this movie is actually super important in the MCU. Especially because, obviously, I mean, it's not really a spoiler since it's in the trailer and everybody knew who was going to be casted for it anyway. But you got King the Conqueror, who is a big player in the comic universe. So I'm assuming they're going to do the same with the MCU.
Yeah, so he'll be coming in and having a lot to do with Phase 4 and 5, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Or 5 and 6? I don't know what fucking phase we're in now.
I don't either. I've lost track too. Dakota says 2 hours about Janet getting some fuck in the quantum realm. Oh my gosh.
That movie I'd watch.
Yeah.
That movie I'd watch.
For sure. Let's see.
You shake your head at me, cat ears.
No. I think I'm allowed to judge.
Oh, for
it's like
sure.
ears of judging. Like, I'm judging you, my friend. Everyone else is safe, but when you get on our show, you're in the hot seat.
Wait, I got invited here to be judged?
Hell yeah.
John says he's going to die. He's gonna die. Talking about Ant-Man? Is Ant-Man gonna die? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe he'll sacrifice himself to save the quantum realm or some shit.
Yeah, that's what he said. I got nothing on the Ant-Man trailer. The first one was the best. It was the funniest.
Yeah.
Lighthearted, but I'm neither. It's neither here nor there for me.
I don't know. I think this one looks really good, actually, though.
It looks pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more of the quantum realm, but
I want it to get weird. I like when things get weird because I'm weird,
Yeah.
and I think it's gonna get weird, and I dig that. So.
I agree.
All right, so a couple of pieces of DC news. The big one being about who the new head of DC Films is.
Speaking of getting fucking weird.
Yeah, I can't wait. So James Gunn and Peter Safran are taking over I don't know what their roles are exactly. Are they like being co-president of DC Films, or
I think IGN referred to it as co-CEOs.
Co-CEOs.
I can't believe I'm
That's-
fucking referencing
That was
IGN
my
right now.
understanding of it. I mean, that's pretty cool, though. Who's the second guy?
Co-CEOs.
Jason? What is his face? Jason?
Peter Safran?
I don't know why I thought Jason. Peter,
Jason.
he's the guy
Jason.
that...
Jason.
Don't mess with me.
I'm never going to be allowed back. I'm never allowed back.
Definitely
Yeah.
Jason.
It's-
That's who we're calling him.
it's-
Peter
just
Safran is
who-
forever Jason. Just Jason.
Anyway, that guy, he did the Conjuring stuff, so, and The Nun, or at least Conjuring, I think he did Conjuring 1 or 2, and then I
thought
think
those were
I'm pretty
James
sure,
Wan.
well, I'm pretty sure it was him, too.
So
Alright.
Safran
No.
produced the Suicide Squad, the good one, the one that James Gunn
The one
directed.
people like.
Yes, the good one.
And The Conjuring.
He
Wait, am I
also
looking at the-
produced Aquaman and Flatliners, which I saw mixed things about, and Buried, which was pretty good actually.
Buried, the Ryan Reynolds movie?
Yeah,
Dude, I was just talking about that last night.
really.
I feel like no one's seen that.
It's good, and it's super low budget, because it's just Ryan Reynolds in a box the whole movie.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that like once you finish watching it, you want to call your mom and tell her you love her.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Like it is bleak.
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah, okay. I apologize, Ketzerin. He produced
The Conjuring.
a lot of the stuff in the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, Annabelle.
Yeah. And interestingly, Shazam.
Yeah, well, segue.
Oh,
There's a new Shazam trailer out, Fury of the Gods, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's. So I am super excited for this, and I think this is a really great direction for DC to take, because some of the best stuff I think they can do is the weird stuff, which James Gunn loves doing. So I was actually a James Gunn fan before most people were. Did you ever see the movie Super?
dude, I've been following James Gunn since he was making trauma movies. Like,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. So I've been a James Gunn fan for a bit, and yeah, I saw Super, and James Gunn wrote or co-wrote one of my favorite hidden gem games. He wrote Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I think he helped write the Scooby Doo movie from like 2003.
Random. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, Super is actually, I think, super underrated with Rainn Wilson and, what's her name?
Ellen Page.
Elliot Page now, but it was
I'm not
Ellen
sure,
Page at the
like,
time.
Yeah, it's that weird line of like, I don't know what to say in that situation. If you're talking about
Right.
him in the past tense, do you go by current name or dead name?
I don't know. I feel like this is
So-
untreaded waters we're getting into
Yeah.
here.
It is.
But, yeah, Elliot Page, or Ellen Page at the time, and their dichotomy in that movie is just freaking hilarious, and it's such a brutal movie. It's so
Dr. Film
weird.
Buzz said Slither. He wrote Scooby-Doo and Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead
Dawn
remake.
of the Dead, that's right. Yeah.
Constantine
Forgot
from
about Slither.
John.
James Gunn's done a ton of stuff, but one of his
Are you
first...
talking about Juno?
No, but... No, watch Super.
You want to talk about a really weird, 3-year span? He wrote Scooby Doo, Dawn of the Dead, and then Scooby Doo 2.
Yep.
And
Hey.
then went right into Slither after that.
He's a super weird guy, and I'm here for it. And he actually has... he made actually my favorite show of this year, Peacemaker. So, I think that show's incredible. It's so funny and actually very good, surprisingly. So,
Well.
it's not just funny, it's actually just really good. I mean, it
I
gets
still
weird.
haven't watched it. I
Oh,
really need
please watch it. It's so damn good. Don't skip the intro ever. Never ever skip the intro. That's the rule of that. So let's segue back a little bit into the Shazam Fear of the Gods trailer here. It's quite a lengthy trailer, so we can talk during it. I'm just going to have it on low volume. But I wasn't actually a huge fan of the first Shazam. I know a lot of people liked it, but it goes back to my analogy from the last show, Ketzerin. Sugar-covered shit.
Dude, that took me out for like half the conversation. All I could think of was allergy. I was out.
Hey, shouts out to my best buddy Morgan, who decided to join in the chat. What's up,
Wait,
Morgan?
Morgan's awake?
Yeah, I don't know why. Yes, it is a slightly childish movie.
Well,
I just don't think my big problem with it was I didn't think the writing was good. It wasn't necessarily bad. It just there were so many cringe moments.
well, and I think the only thing that really made Shazam stand out from everything else DC was doing at the time was it was the first movie that didn't feel like it had to be dark and brooding,
It was lighthearted
Yeah.
for sure.
which was sadly like a giant standout for the time. I'm going to move my mic because my fan on my laptop's going. So
Oh, okay.
come over here,
Sugar
so-
covered shit, man. Sugar covered shit.
Well, I enjoyed the sugar-covered shit because it was lighthearted. Yeah, it was kind of cringy, but I mean, Shazam, as written, he's a kid. Ultimately, he's
Yeah.
gonna be cringy. He's gonna be awkward, and so I think that they captivated that. Um,
But that's not the
so
moments I'm talking about. It's the poor writing where there's like awkward silences when he's going to the orphan house, or not. I guess it's not an orphan house, but whatever it is, the foster home. And
house.
whatever, same difference. So he's going to the foster home, and like the foster parents are, they just like have these blank looks on their faces whenever they're talking, and it's
Yeah.
like the most awkward. Like the acting is terrible. I just can't stand it. Although
I love Zachary Levi. I love Zachary Levi.
fair enough. I will say, I did love that. Oh gosh, what's his name? Played the Riddler in the. I've actually interviewed him before. Played the Riddler in the Batman animated show. He was at Cincy Comic Expo. Dakota, what's his name? I know you know.
Are you thinking of the Dean from Community?
No.
Okay, because I think he's Riddler on that Harley Quinn show now.
Oh, okay. No, this I'm talking about the '90s Batman. Animated
Okay,
series.
Batman the Animated Series. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he's in it. He cameos in it, and I think that's cool. But yeah, John Glover. John Glover. Shout out to my friend and former high school mate Byron Burton, who is actually his manager. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Cohron, it's so funny. This background that I have for the stream, there's a spider. It looks like in certain moments is hanging from your chin. Totally unplanned, but I love it.
Yeah, it's a cute background. Spoop Joot.
Yeah, spook dude. So yeah, that's the news. I don't think we have anything else to say much about Shazam and all that. I think
It's a movie.
it is. Yeah, it's a movie.
I think that's the chat consensus too.
Yeah. Okay, well let's
Yeah.
get spoopy. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So we have a few topics we wanted to cover for Spoop Dude season. Namely horror movies, and one movie in particular that we all watched for the show. It was Barbarian, which
So good.
is up in
It's
the air.
so good.
It actually is. I actually think it's incredible. I really liked it. But we'll get to that here in a minute, I think. I think I want to talk about that last, just because it's fresh on
Okay.
our brains, and we can talk about it to the people, and they can go watch it, after the stream if they want. Dr. Filmbuzz says Barbarian is amazeballs. Harambe's
It
Ghost says Morgan. That's true. Harambe's Ghost. Rest in peace. Dicks out. All right, so Mr. Horror Aficionado, let's actually not address horror until the end, leading up to Barbarian. Let's talk about costumes we've dressed up as. And what are some of your favorites?
So I don't think you knew me when I still kept my hair short, did you?
No.
Yeah. So when I kept my hair short and I was thinner, I had a friend and he and I did we did an awesome Shaun of the Dead costume in like 2010, 2011. It's still my absolute favorite costume I've ever done. I've done it a few times, and I've never been able to replicate how good it turned out that very first time. But that's probably my favorite. And then a couple years ago, I did a Tressa Bowling. Everyone knows, or Tressa, the
Yeah.
artist. She had a Halloween party, and the theme was wrestlers. So my friend Ken and I went as a women's tag team, and we dressed as Sasha Banks and Bailey.
Oh my god.
I went all out, like side ponytail, like cut the shirt, had like a tank top on under it, and bought a pair of leggings to wear.
Oh my god.
It was a
Do you
look.
have a picture of that?
Not that I'm going to send you while we're on stream.
Oh man.
I think my personal favorite that you dressed up as was as Patrick.
No, Patrick dressed up as me.
Or Patrick dressed up as you. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
Patrick dressed up
That's
as
right.
me. No, he and I did
That was incredible.
we did the Dumb and Dumber.
That's it. That's what I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
we did the Dumb and Dumber costume.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Shouts out to
Nice.
Patrick,
Got
good friend of the show.
my trophy right over there.
Nice. They were both Freddies. Yeah, that's true. Yep.
But what about you?
Me, as a kid or an adult, because
Everything I said was as an adult. So
yeah. So my mom, shouts out to her. She was actually one of those moms who handmade like all my costumes growing up. I never was.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
never got a costume from a store or anything like that. She like handmade everything. And I think probably my favorite one she ever did for me was I dressed up as a Native American, and she like did the full on, you know, the tassels that come down, all that. Like she made the beads that they for jewelry that they wore and everything. The feathers and all that. Looking back on it, pretty racist, but you know, I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, so no one batted an eye. But the amount of detail she paid to that was actually incredible. As an adult, I wore my Batman mask. I actually dressed up as Batman one year during Batman vs. Superman, like before the release, before everyone knew it was going to be absolute dog shit. And I actually looked. I think I looked incredible as Batman. Like it looked pretty movie grade. So that was my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to piggyback on your costume about being Native American. When I was 5 or 6, my brother was like 7 or 8. He was doing a it's costume related. I have to tell the story though. He was doing a project that was about Zebulon Pike and the history of Colorado Springs, essentially.
Okay.
And so our mom was really into helping us with our projects, and I wish I could give you guys the video for this. But he
Your mom
was
doing
basically
something 100% shocked.
what? But basically, I was a little Indian Native American girl dancing in the background the whole time, and there's a part where my mom zooms in on the camera, and I'm just dancing like this. So it reminded me. It was really dumb, but I remember that.
I don't have a lot of money, but I'm willing to pay for that video.
Well, you know what? Shoot me an offer, and I'll talk to my mom about it. See if she'll give me a copy.
Just
or if I can
started
make a copy.
OnlyFans where you like put up videos of you as a kid doing stupid shit.
Oh my God. Dude, there's so many stories. I mean, I can recreate them for sure, but
Oh man.
And the dance was the best part. Like it was this like
oh
weird
yeah, and
robot
it was like this. I didn't know how to dance back then, you know, and it was just a lot of weird arm kicks and it was weird, but it was adorable. So
John asked if I had nipples as Batman, and no, I did not. It wasn't that Batman. Which Batman was it that had nipples? I can't remember. Which
Batman and Robin.
Robin? Oh, who played it? That was it. Clooney.
George Clooney.
Clooney. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't. It wasn't Clooney. It was the Batflick. Actually, it wasn't even Batflick that I dressed up as. It was the Dark Knight suit that I wore going into the Batflick era.
Very
John also says ask her to do a cartwheel.
no, thank you. I will do a mean somersault though.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I could do definitely 2 back to back.
You're just a somersaulting son of a bitch, huh?
Yes, I am. But my favorite costume is probably more recently. I DM and we're playing Curse of Strahd, and so I got a really cool costume for Strahd, and I love it. Don't. I'm. You.
Oh, no, I'm thumbs downing Strahd, not you.
Oh, I like.
No,
I don't like
no,
Strahd, but.
Yeah, he in our campaign. And actually, no.
No
Never mind.
spoilies.
If we start talking about Curse of Strahd, we're going to be here for like 3 hours, so never mind. But fuck Strahd.
Speaking.
Yeah, no spoilies because one of my players is here. So.
Speaking of D&D, we're gonna have a D&D show. Segue. We're
Yeah,
gonna
you might have to be back.
full-on D&D show next week with special one of Ketzerin's friends, a special guest. What was his name? It escapes me.
His name is Nick, and it's going to be, I believe, him and maybe his crew
Oh, sweet.
of Dungeon Crawler Audio.
Dungeon
So,
Crawler Audio.
Yep.
So special guest next week for our D&D show, Dungeon Crawler Audio. So everyone tune in next Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So Morgan brings up a good story, by the way. I was actually Morgan and I used to frequent the mall at the Fayette Mall in Lexington, and we would just go Funko Pop hunt and stuff like that. And it was Batman Day one day when we went to the mall, and I actually was wearing this tank top at the time and this Batman mask that I was wearing at the beginning of the show for Batman Day, and we were just going around into stores, and I just had that get up on. That was my whole thing. They tried to kick us out of the mall because they're like, you can't wear that mask in here. And I'm like, why? They said you can't have face coverings on in the mall. There's security guards, so take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, they threatened to kick us out because I had that on. And as soon as he went around the corner, the security guard, I just put it back on.
But when I was 15 or 16, I did this was the last time I went trick-or-treating because I was too old. I was declared too old by some ladies.
Okay.
But so I was a zombie, and we go up to the door, and an old lady answers, and we're like, trick or treat, and she's like, how old are you? And I'm pretty sure I was 15 or 16. I say, 15. Well, you're too old. Don't do this anymore. And it really, the rejection really hurt me, and that's what you made me think of with that. Was you can't wear that mask here? Well, you can't trick-or-treat anymore because I aged out.
What do you think the cutoff should be for trick-or-treat? What age?
I was going to say younger than 15 or 16.
Yeah. I think
I would say
after middle school, I think you're done.
I'd say 13, 14. If you're in high school, no.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I disagree. I would say 15 or 16.
Unless you have kids and then you trick-or-treat with them.
Yeah.
It's free candy. I mean, everybody likes to dress up, so...
Catherine, you also weren't 6'1" at that point either, so...
No.
So, Dakota says if you can drive your friends to different neighborhoods to trick-or-treat, you're too old. Agreed. What about
I didn't get my license until I was 18, so it counts.
In the chat,
I'm okay.
in the chat, everyone else tell us when you think the cutoff should be for trick-or-treat.
I'm saying 13.
I
I'm
agree.
saying 13. When you become a teenager, you're done.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. All right, so we talked about costumes we've dressed as. What about costumes you've seen? Either little kids that you've seen trick-or-treat to your house or, just even adult ones. And cosplay doesn't count.
Oh.
Ooh.
Morgan says, once you're old enough to drive, you graduate to handing out the candy. Absolutely.
Or you just go get high with your friends. I
was going to say drunk, but, same difference.
16?
I don't...
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't...
So
a favorite one?
We've had some pretty cool costume themes come through our old neighborhood. I'm interested to see what it's going to be at this new neighborhood, but there was one year where they had a wagon for their little kids. They couldn't have been older than 2, and they were dressed up as chickens, and it was like a chicken coop that they had the wagon staged as, and they were farmers, so that was really cute.
Oh,
that's funny.
My friend Trey, he and his wife have 5 kids.
Jesus.
And Trey shaves his head. So when Despicable Me 2 came out that year, he went as Gru, and all 5 of the kids went as Minions.
Nice.
That was a pretty
That's cool. I like matching costumes or family costumes. I like seeing stuff like that. I think it's just so cute. So friendly.
Yeah, we did Ninja Turtles one year. Me and Mariah did. It was like Walmart Ninja Turtles, so we just, T-shirts and we had toys as the weapons or whatever. But Ronan was a slice of pizza. So
that's adorable. I love it. I would. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go with anytime I see a kid dressed up as a burrito or a piece of lettuce. I think it's cute.
A piece of lettuce, not a head.
No.
Just one single leaf of lettuce.
I don't know why this was a leaf of lettuce, but it was.
I need to screenshot that so I can make you into lettuce. for the next time you're on the show.
Morgan says to watch out for the pieces of
Thank
candy
you.
that also run Doom. Agreed. Got to watch out for those Snicker bars that run Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the year before that, we were dressed up as bananas, and you remember this, Cohron, you were there. We dressed up as bananas, and Ronan dressed up as a gorilla.
Oh yeah, because you were a Waluigi banana.
Yes, I was.
And no one
I
had told me.
I don't think
No,
you sent me a picture. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I
you did.
definitely
Because
did.
that was the year I showed up and no one had told me it was a costume party.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And
Ooh.
didn't Ronan throw up on you then?
Of course he did, just
Yeah.
like Annie did the first time I held her too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what's your favorite Halloween candies? And in the chat, tell us.
Hold on. Halloween candies when I was trick or treating, or like candies? Well, the answer will change.
Yes.
Well, when I was trick or treating, before the age of 15 or 16, it was M&Ms, the little travel M&Ms.
Okay, the M&M minis or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, the ones in the little bags,
No.
Not
Fun
the
size
full
bag.
size, just the small. That's just a.
Are we talking fun size M&Ms or M&M minis? Because those are two different things.
The fun size? Yeah, the bag where you.
Okay, M&M minis are elite. So, and you used to be able to get the tubes. Like when people hand out the tubes of M&M minis, like those were the best houses.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I like Twizzlers.
Twizzlers, okay, that's
Yep.
okay. What about you, Cohron?
As an adult, I like that big bag that's like the mix of like Tootsie Rolls, Tootsie Pops, and then like the Fruit Chew Tootsie Rolls.
Okay.
And as a kid, I always liked the people that would give out like, oh my gosh, there was one spot in the house we lived in for like 4 years where they would give out like the movie sized boxes of Mike and Ike's.
Oh yeah.
So that one always stuck with me.
I mean, the real answer is when you're a kid, full size candy bars. Like
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The full size
Goldmine.
Bunch of Crunch.
any,
Or Crunch bars?
it didn't matter
Yeah.
what it was. If you got a full size candy bar, that house was the honey pot, the honey
Yeah.
hole.
And fuck anyone who was giving out like mounds.
Yeah.
Who
Or
gives out
dots.
Coconut.
Fuck
Yeah.
dots.
Dots come in that big bag of candy I like as an adult, and it only comes with like 5 or 6 boxes. And I was like, it's a weird thing that they're just gonna make me throw these away for them.
Yeah, for real. So something we got to give out to the trick-or-treaters who want them this year, and I'm really excited about this, is they made trick-or-treat bags of Pokemon cards. They're reprints. They're reprints from old sets, but they all come with a holographic card. It's like 5 cards or 6 cards in a pack or something like that. And I'm really excited for that for the kids, because could you imagine growing up getting packs of Pokemon cards? That would be
That is pretty cool.
that would have been incredible.
Yeah.
I was like
4 cards
this
says
far
Dakota.
ahead
My
of
bad.
like Pokemon cards. So
Yeah, well, sorry for your
I
loss.
want to jump back real fast.
Yeah.
Dr. Filmbuzz just said in the chat. Well, said in the chat, a house in my neighborhood hands out alcohol to parents on Halloween night. Is that trick or treating for adults? And I would say, yes.
Yeah, I think they did that at certain houses in our neighborhood too, but you had to like know the people. So
Right.
yeah, it'd be cooler if they just had like, you know, a case of Natty Ice or something, and they're just handing
Oh.
out. just
yeah, I mean, yeah, if they're handing it out to all the adults, it's not going to be like
good. No, it's not gonna be
anything
good.
better than like yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be funny if they just had like a huge like case, like, you know, those cases that have a bunch of boxes in them. You know, the ones at liquor stores.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
handing out singles to people. That'd be awesome. I might try to do that next year. It's a big neighborhood.
You
That'd
should
be
do a
fun.
bobbing for cider. What is the Angry Orchard? Is the cider that tastes like apples? You should do a bobbing for
It's
cider.
like $12 for a 6-pack though.
Yeah, it's
They ain't made
expensive.
of money.
Then do a party and invite me so that we can bob for liquor.
Ooh, first time chatter Panthecilia says Jello shots would be clutch. I agree.
Jello shots would be killer.
That'd be
That
really
would
cool.
be pretty cool.
But you got to be careful with that stuff though, because people are gonna think you're gonna molly them or something. So if they're just out in the open. It's weird times we live in.
Just go cheap and get one of those things of like 99, like
It's
the
Karen.
99 flavored vodkas.
Oh yeah. Oh hey Corinne, what's up?
Oh, it's Corinne. I also thought it was Karen.
No, it's
I
actually
thought it was Karen.
it's actually Karen. I call her Corinne to mess with her. So, okay, well,
You can't trust anyone on this stream.
fuck you, Dakota. Dots suck, and you're a terrorist for liking them. Okay. So what are some, before we get on to the horror segment, which will be the last segment, what are some of your favorite Halloween traditions? Like, what do you try to do every year on, like, around Halloween time? Specifically, like, you know, the few days leading up to Halloween. I feel like that's the times I'm really talking about in my mind, you know? So,
I should go last because all of mine is horror related.
okay, that'll be a good segue.
Okay.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I have some stuff fresh on my brain, so I always try to read Doctor Strange comics. I think they're awesome for this time of year just because they get super weird and gritty and honestly kind of like horror-y. There's a lot of like monsters and dark art stuff, so I think it's really good for this time of year. So I always try to read some of those leading up the week of. Also, I always watch 28 Days Later the day of Halloween. It's my favorite horror movie ever and one of my favorite movies ever. And I watch it every year on Halloween night by myself because Mariah doesn't like Halloween or horror movies. So, and then I always eat Count Chocula.
Nice.
Usually the week leading up to, but also on Halloween. So,
Nice.
Yeah, those are my traditions.
Well, usually by now my Halloween tree would already be up, but I didn't do it this year, because there's been a lot of housework I've been doing. So I usually put that up and I listen to like spooky songs when I decorate my Halloween tree, and then,
First of all, Halloween tree, badass.
Oh yeah.
thank you. I love doing it. It's so much fun, but this year I didn't. And then basically it's just hanging out, watching scary movies when I can, you know, if I'm available. But then it's basically the day of Halloween. That night, I like to get all sorts of horror movies. I like to go with the classics, and then I like to throw in a couple new ones. And then I'll just hang out, eat junk food, and just binge watch scary movies all day. So that's basically my Halloween tradition now.
Nice. Before you go, Cohron, I just want to say that Halloween in general is super special for me anyway. I've always liked it, but I met my wife, Mariah, at a Halloween party. It's actually the day after Halloween, technically, but still Halloween because we were celebrating Halloween. I was dressed as Captain America. She was dressed as a paratrooper, and we fell in love. So,
I love that.
So Halloween is like super special for us.
And then the bats flew.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that? One more time?
Yeah, do that again for
bats did what?
for the podcasters. To make that
No.
noise.
So all my stuff, and it's something I've done for a couple years now. Fell off last year, but 2020 was incredibly easy because no one was doing jack shit. October 1st through Halloween, it's something horror related every day. I think one of the first years I did it, it was really easy because 2 days a week were spoken for with Channel Zero, the sci-fi series that was based off of like creepypastas and creepypastas and no sleep stories, and then American Horror Story was on as well. So I only had to fill like the other 5 days. This year, there's an Instagram page that I follow that was doing their 31 days of Halloween, or they were doing the 31-day movie challenge is what they called it, and each one had a different theme. But there are a few that I make sure I hit every October. And the number one that I always watch at some point around Halloween is Trick or Treat.
Love that movie. Super underrated.
Nice.
And I actually was super fucking sick. They're showing it in theaters for the first time right now.
Wow.
And I got to go last Thursday.
Amazing.
Nice.
And it's probably one of my top 10 favorite movies ever. One of my all-time favorite horror movies, and without a doubt my favorite horror anthology movie. So seeing that on the big screen was awesome. But also always watch Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. and randomly, like, there are a couple other ones that I'll always try and throw in, like Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which if you haven't watched is amazing and super super underrated. And
Okay, I've never seen
a personal favorite of mine, Jason X.
it. Okay.
Jason
Okay.
in Space. For those of you who aren't in the know, it's my favorite Friday the 13th movie. No joke, no cap, as the kids say.
This coming from a man whose favorite movie is Blade 2.
No
so,
cap.
Hey, my all-time favorite movie is not Blade 2.
well, okay.
It's in my top 5.
Fair enough.
Have you seen Blade 2? It's fucking perfect.
It's something. Ketzerin, 30-second timeout, by the way, real quick. Ketzerin, you got some music coming through your audio, I think. So, I just, for the podcasters especially, I don't want it to come through. So, all right, keep going, Cohron.
I thought that was just part of the
Oh,
show. I thought
she
it was.
disappeared.
Oh, she gone.
It's all right. Keep talking. She'll be back.
So yeah, that's always been one of my big things. I don't have like a Halloween night tradition. I'm in my 30s. I live alone. I don't have kids. Like, and I'm in an apartment, so I don't even really like hand out candy or anything like that. I'll probably go hang out with. I'll probably go hand out candy with my friend Sean on Monday.
Oh, cool.
And his wife's gonna take their son, and he's gonna hang out at his place and hand out candy. So we'll probably drink beer and hand out candy to kids.
Sweet.
Nice.
Sounds awesome. Well, that segues into horror, our horror segment. So, Cohron, I would consider myself a horror fan, but I'm not a horror aficionado, so to speak. There's probably my level of horror movie watching. I haven't seen probably a lot of the ones you're going to bring up. But I've seen the classics, of course, and so I think probably a lot of people probably fall into my realm that are watching and listening. So let's start out by giving a movie your personal favorite, classic horror movie, and then then after that followed up with a niche horror movie that you think that if people want to get into the niche horror, it would be a good opener for them.
A classic, I would go with The Thing from 1982, John Carpenter. It's literally the theme yesterday was the goat, and The Thing is probably, in my opinion, the greatest horror movie ever made. Celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. It's Carpenter being Carpenter. It's very open-ended, and it's also like one of those things that's like it's weirdly sci-fi and horror, and a lot of people don't know it's actually a remake. So
I did not know that.
it's a remake of The Thing from Outer Space from I think 1955.
Oh.
But that would be that one, and then I'm actually going to do a couple niche ones, considering I already mentioned Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It is kind of a mockumentary, like found footage, following a guy who wants to be the next Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. It's got Robert Englund in it. It's got like it's got the guy that played Herschel from Walking Dead.
Okay.
But I can't go, like, it's one of those things I can't go into a ton of detail without kind of like giving up. But it's basically this news crew, or this like documentary film crew, is following this serial killer. And the movie kind of changes directions halfway through, which will be a theme we're going to talk about here in a few minutes too. But the other one I want to bring up is Hell House LLC. It's another found footage movie. It's from 2015. This group bought a hotel where a bunch of people were murdered, and they want to turn it into a haunted house. And weird shit starts happening. And they tell you from the beginning of the movie, they start referring to the documentary is going to try and get to the bottom of what happened during the Hell House Massacre.
I have actually seen this movie, believe it or not. I watched it on a whim way back in the day. I can't even remember where
It came out in 2015.
Yeah, it's been out a while.
Streamed on like random places.
I think I saw it on Netflix at one point or something.
It's been on Netflix, Shudder,
Yeah.
At one point, the director's cut was on Prime. Now the regular cut's on Prime, and the director's cut is on Tubi. Like,
I actually really like this movie. The ending is something, but
I like the open. I like the open-ended. Like, I kind of like the ending where you kind of have to think for yourself about it. The sequels are shit.
didn't know there were sequels. So
There's a reason. There's a reason. They're not good.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen that one.
that
so.
one is worth watching for sure.
Oh, no, it's on the list.
And if you
I'll
look
put
it
on my
up,
list.
if you look it up, make sure you look up Hell House LLC, because if you just look up Hell House, it's some shitty documentary
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
douchebag Zach Baggins.
Yeah, don't do that.
Um,
Okay, so
fuck that guy.
first time chatter, by the way, Demon Dog, so PC, says yes, the 1951. He corrected one. They corrected. Honestly, I watched though. So okay, apparently it's pretty good. The original one is. So
I've never actually seen it. I think
neither. I didn't even know it
think it's
existed.
I think it's public domain now. Like, because
At this
a bunch of those
point,
people
probably, yeah.
didn't have money to copyright their shit.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to check it out. Sweet.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Also, just watch anything John Carpenter makes. He's awesome.
I agree with that.
Maybe skip Ghosts of Mars and the Ward,
I
but
haven't seen that.
Ghosts of Mars was actually originally. Sorry, I'm gonna rant again for a second. Ghosts of Mars was actually originally supposed to be
Go.
the third in the trilogy for Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., and it was one of the scripts that never took off. That was going to be called Escape from Earth, and it didn't get picked up. So he just made a movie with Ice Cube with Ghosts of Mars. And fun fact, they never
Wait,
called,
Ice Cube is in it?
Ice Cube's the star.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And they never call the big bad, like the big villain. They never call him anything in the movie. Like, he never has a name. But in the credits, he is credited, and I'm not shitting you, as Big Daddy Mars.
Okay, sweet.
The movie is so bad. It is
Big Daddy
so
Mars.
bad.
I dig it.
Big Daddy Mars.
Well, before we get to Barbarian here, couple quick things. One, Karen says James says The Grudge is the best horror film. I think The Grudge was pretty okay.
I need to know, is he talking about the Japanese or the American?
So I'm assuming he's talking about the American one. I don't think many people have seen the Japanese one, which I have, and it's infinitely better than the American one.
Agreed.
Although I don't think the American one is bad, so to speak. Like, it's okay. But the Japanese one's actually legit terrifying.
Yeah. The same thing with The Ring. I mean, I think The Ring is one of the best PG-13 horror movies ever made. Like, the American one, but Ringu is still just so much better.
It is, absolutely. I remember seeing Ringu at like movie back whenever Blockbuster and stuff was a thing, and seeing it on movie shelves, and I eventually just picked it up one day because I was like, what the hell is this? Because I'd watched The Ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, I realized that this is, a remake now, and the Ringu is just great. It's so good. So I think actually Dakota brought this up once upon a time about horror. Is horror considered fantasy?
No. Horror is not fantasy. Jason Voorhees is not a fantasy character.
Okay.
Just going back with chat, Demon Dog is asking how we can watch the Japanese version of, I'm going to assume, The Ring, because that's when it popped up. So
Ringu?
yeah.
Well,
I don't
I've got
know
the
where it's
Blu-ray,
streaming.
So
I mean, I'm assuming you can rent it from anywhere. I don't know if it's streaming currently anywhere. I doubt it because Japanese properties are super weird.
if it's streaming anywhere, it's probably Shudder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Shudder.
Okay.
Verified for Shudder.
Highly recommend that. Legit terrifying movie. Legit really, really good movie. So why do you one last question before we get to Barbarian from my side. Why do you think that horror movies and sci-fi movies, Alien, Annihilation, more recent, why do you think they are so synonymous now? Why do you think there's so many that are in the same realm?
I mean, do you want my like short answer?
What you do, you boo.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is because space is fucking scary.
Fair.
Space is the biggest, vast unknown that we have, like, and that's terrifying. So the idea of something out there that, like, not only is, in the case of Alien, is like animalistic and just kills and inhabits and takes over anything in its way, but then, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, they look like people or under the skin or anything like that, where people are inhabiting other, like, where they're inhabiting human bodies and trying to take over. Yeah, space is just fucking scary.
Yeah. Shout out, I mentioned Annihilation. I think Annihilation has one of the scariest, well, not scariest, but just terrifying, has one of the most terrifying scenes in anything I've ever watched. And if you
still need to watch it.
Okay, so there's this scene. It's not really a spoiler because it's not important, but there's this scene with a bear where
The bear was in the preview.
That part, like,
where it screams
when you watch
like
it,
a human.
oh man!
When you watch it, it's like way worse than the preview. It's legit terrifying.
And when you see it, take a minute to like pause on it and look at it. So
one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. For real. All right, so Barbarian. Let's talk about Barbarian. I think it's still up for debate how you pronounce this.
Barbarian.
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 Well,
because the street that it takes place on is called Barbia. Is that right?
Yeah. I think so. Or I thought they were saying Barbary.
Barbaria?
Like Barbie. Like
something. It's a play off that, though, and they're calling it Barbarian.
Yeah.
So it's on HBO Max, FYI.
are we?
It dual release.
Do we want to keep it with no spoilies, or should we do a spoiler warning?
I think
we'll
we
do
should
spoiler free.
Well, I think we could do spoiler free for sure.
Okay. Right.
So, not since like From Dusk Till Dawn have I seen a movie like like Dusk Till Dawn. I have not seen a movie make that hard of a right, like halfway through, and just completely change the story. Which was awesome.
It was,
and I did not expect it all.
Yeah, there's twists and turns really at every corner a little bit. There is the hard right it makes after the Act 1 for sure, where you're like, wow. Or right before Act 2, at the end of Act 1, it makes a huge right turn like you were saying. But it takes even more twists and turns. Can I just say that the cinematography in this movie was fucking outstanding?
Yeah.
The 70s were just following that guy from like behind him, where it's almost that like third person video game.
The fisheye, the fisheye view. Oh my god, it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, even the first person in that view of arms, like you're playing a video game. That's when I was like, well, the cinematography is pretty good.
Well, even at the very beginning of the movie, there's that street view, and where there's like no light. And
she's standing on the front of the house, just looking around at
that
all the other
perspective.
Houses, and not a fucking light on.
I don't think I've ever seen a horror movie really encapsulate that creepy feel of just not having a light on a street in the rain. Like, beautiful.
Yeah, I'll agree there.
Like, as a horror fan, I feel like this movie came out of fucking nowhere.
I agree. I never heard anything about it until you mentioned it. I mean, I'd seen it. I'd seen it like places, but
I'd heard next to nothing about it. And then, like, all of a sudden, one of my friends just messages me. He's like, "Hey, we're seeing Barbarian Thursday night," and I was like, "What the hell's Barbarian?" And because I feel like it was literally like, trailer got released, and then like 3 weeks later the movie was out.
Yeah.
I do have one really weird question though.
Okay.
Is Bill Skarsgård attractive?
I don't know.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
I think it depends on his facial expressions that he chooses to use, because there are moments in uh, speaking of that, so this movie is directed by Zach Kreger, which really he hasn't done much of anything else.
I'm trying to think about, like, because he'd done something else that was, like, out of left field for him to move into this kind of movie.
He did the movie Miss March, which is a terrible comedy.
That thing's considered, like, one of the worst comedy movies of all time.
Yeah. And that's really his only claim to fame. And it also stars Georgina Campbell, who I realized, I thought she looked super familiar, and then I looked up her credits, but she hasn't really been in a lot. This is like her first really main lead in a big film. But she was in an episode of Black Mirror called Hang the DJ, and that's where I had remembered her from. It's the one where they have like time left on their date, where they, you know, the one.
Yeah.
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 So she's in that one. She does a fantastic job. I thought the acting in this was some of the best I'd seen in a horror movie in a while too. Maybe since Annihilation.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to start disagreeing with you there.
Okay.
The acting was overall okay. I have problems with character decisions. Right at the beginning, it's mentioned, you know, I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible. So, just the inequality conversation, and then let me go. You know, let's move this movie, and it was just contradictory for me.
So actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was really paying attention to, because in horror movies, people make horrible decisions, and I think, considering the scope of what's going on in the movie, and you know, the spur of the moment type thing, I thought pretty much most of the actions they took were justifiable. The characters.
I would say, well, it was the one of moving forward that really just didn't make sense for me. Yeah. With the main character just deciding to continue. That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's the only one for sure. I agree.
Other than that, I think yes, it is smart what they did. You know, like it was what do you do when you're scared? You know.
Yeah.
But I thought that there was a lot of plot holes for me that when I sat down and I sat there and I was like, well, what do I really think about this movie? My brother comes over and I'm like, I don't think I liked it that much. I'm like talking to him. This is why I don't like it. There's too many plot holes.
On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, it's one of my top 5 of the year.
I agree with that. I've actually seen this movie pop up in the top 25 or top 50 horror movies of all time lists.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think about what I saw on. It was either like a Reddit thread or an IMDb or something like that, where someone was like, "Yeah, Barbarian's going to be one of those things that's looked back on in like 20 or 25 years." That like, because you know, I was talking about the thing. The thing was like shit canned when it released. People hated it.
Yeah. People
thought Carpenter wasn't going to get work after it, and now it's one of the it's considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Am I saying this is as good as The Thing? No, not by a long shot.
No,
no. I mean, it's...
But the way it's framed, and you know, we talked about the cinematography and stuff like that, I really think it's unique, and I think no one's probably going to talk about it much, because it's just a horror movie that wasn't marketed very much.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think we're going to look back on this movie, and people are going to be like, holy shit, why were more people not talking about this?
It's going to be a good comparison I can think of is Idle Hands. Idle Hands is a movie from like '99. Devon Sawa, Seth Green, where you know he kind of takes the premise from Evil Dead, where his hand is evil, and so he cuts it off. But like no one really gave a fuck about that when it came out. But like now people look back on it like, oh holy shit, we can't believe we sat on that movie for so many years.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I'll have to watch it.
It's a great piece of
good.
Late 90s, early 2000s nostalgia.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. So
I mean, I guess for me, I'll have to give it another try, but I don't
I'm
know.
definitely gonna watch it again
The,
for sure.
the acting was overall, yes, it was good. The ambiance was good. The storytelling, it was, let's get to it. There was, with the story, I just had problems with some of the story. There was holes. So,
I'm
Also, Justin
already,
Long is in this.
uh,
In case anyone else is wondering who else stars in it, who's been in tons of movies. Let's see, what was it? What was the one he was?
Richard Brake was in it too. He was in.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of those big Rob Zombie guys. He was in 31. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on that one?
Yeah, I'm having trouble. Justin Long was in Dodgeball. He was
Yeah.
in
Justin Long was in Waiting.
Waiting. That's it. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Tusk. Everyone knows who Justin Long is.
Accepted as
If you-
well. Yeah.
Yeah. But like one of the big things is I always like kind of watch movies, and my friend Justin and I like we're huge double feature guys, and all I could think like as soon as this ended, I was like at some point down the road I'm gonna do a double feature of this and Malignant together,
Okay.
okay.
and that is just going to be a 4-hour span where I just love life.
It's funny you mentioned that Malignant showed up as the recommended movie right after this.
Oh really?
Yeah, went off. So, yeah, Justin Long was also in Jeepers Creepers. Says Corinne.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Jen
And-
and Karen.
Yeah.
And fuck the director of Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he's like a convicted pedophile.
Oh yeah.
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 So fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy
Okay.
for sure. Fuck pedophiles. We are definitely a fuck pedophile
I mean, don't fuck them,
platform.
but
Right.
God damn it.
So how do we explain this movie without giving spoilers? So basically, you could say what happens at the beginning, and then just it kind of takes a turn after that, and it can't really say anything else.
Just one sentence, you can sum up the entire movie. Don't go in the basement.
Yeah.
Just don't go in the basement.
Although it didn't seem to matter, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah. So basically, this chick gets an Airbnb, and it's in Detroit, and it's at a bad part of town, but she doesn't really know where she's going because it's dark and it's raining, and she doesn't really see where she's going. And she gets to the house, and she realizes someone's already in it. And they work it out to where they are just going to share the room for the night, or the house for the night, and then get their money back the next day or whatever, because the people at the office aren't answering their calls. And it doesn't go how you think it's going to go, because it's framed like a thriller, like straight thriller, and then it just
hard right.
snaps.
Hard right. It's literally that meme of like, stay the course or just go in a completely fucking direction, and the car is hitting its brakes and taking the exit.
So in typical horror movie fashion, though, to your point, Ketzoran, there's a couple of scenes in this where it's just laugh out loud funny.
Oh yeah, like there are truly like comical moments.
Yeah.
And it's just enough where like you're still on board.
I can't tell if they're
It was
trying to be funny
ridiculous.
with it or not.
Yeah, like it truly was like.
It felt very Sam Raimi in that sense, though. That like,
Yeah.
you were still creeped out, but it was still pretty fucking funny too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it was.
So I
That was-
honestly I rated Barbarian on the Letterboxd app.
I need to find you on. I need to add you on that.
Yes, you do. I can't remember what I gave it though. I'll say I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I need to watch it again. I may give it more than that.
I went 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I land as well. I usually reserve 5 for my absolute top favorite movies, and kind of adjust down from there. And this isn't one of my favorite movies, but definitely it's up there in my horror genre for sure. Definitely recommend it to anybody that likes horror movies, for sure. I think everyone should go watch it and let us know what you think next week.
Yep.
Why can't I find you on Letterboxd?
I'm freaking dad.
Oh, I typed in bad.
Dad, yeah.
All right, I got it.
I tried to change that moniker everywhere I can because it just fits. So I think that's gonna do it. We're creeping over on time here. We could talk horror and everything all night, but this is a really fun show. Thank you, Chris, for
Thanks for having me.
coming on the show and talking horror and Halloween and everything with us. So again, shout out where people can find you and what you guys do.
You can find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or pretty much wherever. Friends with Benefits podcast. It's the one. There are a couple different ones. We're the one with the Jason Voorhees cartoon drawing on it and the video game controller. We are a nerd-centric podcast, but we don't do like lists or news of the week or anything like that. We pick a topic and we just make it conversational for about an hour. Flanagan describes us as solving the world's problems 1 hour at a time.
That's cute.
So, yeah.
Shouts out to Flanagan.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at TN2M PodNet. Because for some reason we're still housing a bunch of other podcasts under our umbrella.
Okay.
So.
All right. Awesome. Well, that's it for tonight. Everyone have a super awesome Halloween, and tune in next week for our D&D show. Thank you, everyone who stopped by. Appreciate all the active people in the chat. This is definitely the most active chat we've ever had. So shouts out to all you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah, and thank you, Chris. And happy Halloween, everyone.
All right. Until next time, stay spoopy.
Spoopy.